speaking of I believe in the power of AI. Athena believes in the power of AI. And so we have been thinking a lot about how we make sure that exactly as we've been talking about, how do we use AI to make sure that people are spending more time on the things that matter, that are high impact, that are also high energy, right? Who wants to be doing tedious things like writing an email response to a sales rep when they could be instead driving impact across their employees, educating, rolling out AI adoption, all the things. And so, one of the things that we're focusing quite a bit on, Athena, is how to do that for anyone in compliance and training land. And I will flag that, Emily, I am such a fan of Zapier. And everybody, if you haven't looked into Zapier, should go check it out. And also, I want to acknowledge that many of us are still at the beginning stages. And so, I would encourage you to look at your vendors and see what AI has already been built into vendors within other areas of your work so that while you are building your expertise on Zapier and ChatGPT and all these things, you can also find other areas to reduce workload and cognitive load in your space. And so here I'm just going to quickly showcase one of these ways that we're trying to make people's lives easier is by incorporating AI into training and deck creation. Very exciting. And I'll show you just an example of what this could look like. In fact, can I get a +1 in the comments if you have ever spent too much time putting together a training, spent too much time thinking about the format of the font, where to place the picture, what gift to use. Yeah, not fun stuff. And we're trying to reduce that for you. What we have done is we actually have several different types of slide types for a training. You could have your typical text plus image. You could have a carousel of images. You could have a check on learning, which is another way of saying, hey, we're going to test your knowledge. Were you paying attention to the training? Did you actually process what we just said? Which is quite important both for any trainings like manager training, onboarding training, sales training. What is the process that we use for sales? Do you understand our product? But even more important when it comes to compliance training, right? Did you understand what the law says around what is and isn't harassment? Also, pulse questions just to check. How you feel? Do you feel would you feel more comfortable intervening if you saw an inappropriate action take place in the workplace? So all these options available to you, policy attestation, all these things. For the purposes of this demo, what I want to show you is an example of creating a slide. So in this one, I decided, let's do a check on learning. Let's actually check if somebody properly understood the information. So I'm going to open this up. I pre-set it up. I pre-populated it. In this example, I wrote Henry and Sarah, they're longtime friends at a company. They're on the marketing team, and it's Sarah's birthday. She's turning 30. And Henry reaches out to Tasha to say, hey, we should do something fun. I want this to be dynamic. I don't want it to be a boring slide. I want it to be interactive. I want it to look like a Slack conversation. Or you could say I want it to look like a phone chat. So we have a variety of options to make it look more engaging, more relevant, all at the click of a button. Here's the conversation that you have. You can set up the personas, you can set up the people, you can make it as simple as you like. These are already pre-filled for you. You can just add or change if you want. And here's the conversation that I might want to have. Okay. So maybe Henry says, hey, Tasha, Sarah's birthday is coming up. We should do something fun. Tasha says, great idea. What were you thinking? Henry says, she's turning 30. So, you know, it would be a good idea. We should put her picture into ChatGPT and we should tell it to make her look real old. And Tasha says, I'm not sure that's such a great idea. And maybe Henry, look how easy it is. You just add, click Henry. Maybe Henry says, oh, come on. Don't be a buzzkill. And then what you can say is you put in the question, is this an appropriate use of AI at work? And then you can put whatever answers you want. And then just so you can see what it looks like, here's the preview. So all I did is I put in the fields, and because of our AI powered behind the scenes work, this is what it spits out for your team. So you now have a much more engaging, dynamic, new type of training that took very little work. What you focused on was the strategy, right? What you focused on was what are the things that people need to take away? What would be a good, effective scenario? Which, by the way, you could also partner with ChatGPT, right? Hey, ChatGPT, can you give me some scenarios of where AI could go wrong? You leverage that, you plug it in here, and then it spits out a slide that took you very little time to create. It looks very nice. It's engaging to your employees. They actually pay attention because it's relevant to them. It's not just in text on a slide. And you could do many different versions of this, right? I'm going to exit here. In this one, we did it and this one I staged it as a text message. And so this preview would look different. It would be text message, right? And so again, there's a variety of options so that you are actually engaging your learners, because we know that in order for your employees to actually pay attention, it has to be interesting. I will also very quickly show, before I move it over to a few minutes of Q&A, another area where we're really leaning into AI, and I would encourage you all to think about it, is again, how are you reducing your cognitive load and time? Give me a +1 if you get the same question from employees over and over again, whether it's what is our medical insurance provider? Where do I go to submit my PTO? How do I log in to take my training? At Athena, we have a policy bot that you can turn on, and it only pulls from the policies that you upload to it. So it will never hallucinate. It will never pull from the internet. And we have preloaded it here. And I love this because I don't have time to be answering all the same questions again and again for our employees. So an employee could just say, what is our PTO policy? And what would happen is it would look through our information. It's going to take a second to generate. It's actually tied into ChatGPT, so it takes a quick second. And then it would tell you, it's literally pulling, this is Athena's PTO policy that we uploaded it. And it will link you to, it will link your employees to that policy. But here's where it gets even better. We have analytics. We capture that information. Now we keep it anonymous because we don't want to dissuade employees from asking questions that they might otherwise avoid asking, right? Maybe they want to ask, hey, I saw this thing. Is that against the rules? Or am I allowed to date someone? How many times can I ask them out before that's breaking our policy, right? We still want them to feel safe, but we don't want to lose that data. So it's anonymous, but it is aggregated. And so you can start to see now, oh, interesting. A lot of people have been asking questions about our PTO policy. I wonder where that's coming from. And you can see the individual questions that are coming in as well. You can start to now understand, oh, interesting. A lot of people have been asking about the dating policy. That popped up about a month ago. I wonder if something triggered that. Like, why is that coming up? You can also see questions that came up and maybe there wasn't anything to populate, which might be an indicator to you, ooh, people are asking a lot of questions about AI in the workplace and we don't have a policy in place for that. That might be a good sign that we need to create something. And so, again, I would encourage you all to be thinking about, exactly as Emily is saying, how are you using AI to maximize your impact so that you are spending less time on the things that are eating away at your day and not adding to your impact, not adding to your own growth, and more time on, oh, what can I do with this data? And now that I don't have to spend all this time answering the same question again and again, I just have it all in one place, aggregated, and I can action on it. So thank you all. That is it for that.